Hello. Is this on? Yeah, it's on. But I'm not in focus. So, am I going Caleb Hoover on your ass today? No, probably not. Welcome back to the channel, guys. Today we're taking a look at the Sigma 24-70mm f2.8 DGDN art lens for Sigma L-mount stuff. That went well. So this is absolutely not a review video, I want you to know this. It's essentially my first look at this lens. I just bought it, I've had it for a couple of days, tried it out, and I wanted to give you my first impressions. The reason why I bought this lens is actually because I wanted something to go on my camera that I can use for every situation. I want it for interviews, I want it for wedding, I want it for events, I want it for photography, low lights, videography and photography, I want it for some macro shots. I basically want this lens to live on my camera for 95% of the time. The Sigma 24-70 f2.8 is actually a very nice lens for the price you pay. If you go for the 24-70 from Panasonic, it's essentially double the price. So you pay something like 2,300 euros, 400 euros for a Panasonic, while you pay 1,250 euros for the Sigma. So why didn't I go with the Panasonic 24-70? Well, it's double the price, so that was a no-go for me. I wanted to save some money and get the equivalent focal length and aperture, and Sigma was the only company that actually offered this for the L-mount. After watching a couple of reviews, it felt like this is the lens for me, but also a friend of mine had this lens but for the Sony system, so I had a feel around the lens and got to know it a little bit, and I was really impressed with the build quality and the overall feel of the lens. So I decided to jump for this one for my S5, and I'm really happy that I did. So when you're unboxing this lens, you're getting the usual things from Sigma, really clean box with white background and black stripes. Inside the box we got some documents, we got some literature. How do you say that word? It's so hard. Literature. So inside the box we got some documents, we got the bag with the lens inside of it, and we got a strap for the bag. And opening up the bag we get the marvelous, the fantastic lens, the 24-70, and a lens hood. So feeling around the lens for the first time, it's a super nice lens to hold. It's quite heavy, 835 grams, so it's a bit heavy on your S5 if you own one of those. But if you have a S1 or S1H, that would fit the camera much better. In my case, I feel like the camera is a bit front heavy, and it actually hurt my wrist a little bit when I was out shooting today. But I think it's nothing serious, and most of the times you actually hold the whole camera and lens with two hands, so it shouldn't be a problem. The front of the lens extrudes when you zoom out, not that much, so it's not a problem. On the side of the lens you have this autofocus manual switch. You have the autofocus lock button, which you can program to be something else. And then you have the zoom lock button, which stops the lens creeping essentially. I didn't see any problems with lens creeping while I was using this lens, but in time Sigma thinks probably that it's going to creep, so they put that lock button in anyway. If you zoom out while it's in the locked position, it declicks and then you can zoom freely. The rest of the lens feels really good. It's made out of some sort of metal and rubber, plastic, and it's weather sealed and dust and splash proof, so you can use this in pretty rough conditions, but I wouldn't use it in like direct rain or anything. I wouldn't do that with any lens actually. So keep it in mind, even though it says it's weather sealed, perhaps don't use it in the worst conditions out there. If there's like light rain and stuff, yeah sure, it shouldn't be a problem, but To keep the lens in a good condition, I wouldn't use it in heavy rain. The rest of the lens feels really good. I mean, it's a Sigma quality art lens. It's big, it's heavy, it's chunky, metal and plastic and rubber, all mixed up to a really nice construction from Sigma. And the focus ring is super nice to use. And now we can actually use linear focusing on the Sigma lens with a recent firmware update to the S5, which is great. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I bought this lens actually. The linear focusing is very good. It feels like basically like focusing a manual lens. But one of the caveats with that is that you can't actually decide the throw of the focus. That's something that's decided by the lens itself. At least in my trying to set this up, I could only get one focus throw to work. Maybe it's going to be fixed in the future, but as of right now, you can only use one focus throw distance on the lens. But I don't mind it because the focusing throw feels quite good actually. One thing to notice too is that it's got no image stabilization, no stabilization inside of the lens, which for some people can be a deal breaker if you're like a Sigma user. Some of their own cameras doesn't have like image stabilization in the body, but if you're someone who uses the S5 or S1H perhaps, you wouldn't be that bothered with it because the stabilization inside the camera itself is really good, and you don't need stabilization in the lens too. So who is the 24-70 for? Well, I think that you probably know if you want this lens or need this lens, because the 24-70 is such a standard zoom range that you know that it's going to make your life just a little bit more comfortable. You can use it for weddings, you can use it for events, you can use it for photography, videography, you can use it for macro shots, you can use it for low light shots. Basically everything that you can imagine that you want to do, you can do with this lens. I think that this lens is for the professional who wants a high quality lens to do it all, whether you're a professional photographer or a videographer. And I think for enthusiasts, this is a super nice lens, like really high quality. It's Sigma's finest glass out there. The art series is really good, high quality build, and everything is on par with the quality that Sigma actually stands for. So I think it's for serious professionals, and I think it's for serious enthusiasts. If you're maybe a beginner or something, like keep to the kit lens until you actually learn how to use a camera, because you might be frustrated owning such a nice lens like this and not being able to get the quality that the professionals do. So keep like a kit lens, something like the 20-60. That's a great lens, and it's impeccable. Basically it's impeccable. The quality coming out of this lens is super nice. Comparing the 24-70 to the 20-60 kit lens, it's a quite big difference actually, as you can see here. The 24-70 is a very big lens, but you sort of get what you pay for too. It's a better quality, better built lens than the 20-60, but I think that if you're a vlogger, just keep with the 20-60 because it's a really nice lens. You can put it on a gimbal, you can get this wide 20mm shot. Yeah, it's overall just a great little kit lens, and the autofocus actually works good on this one. Thank you so much for watching. This has been a pleasure having you. This was just first impressions of this lens, and I'm probably going to make a whole review once I've gotten to know it a little bit better and getting some hours into using it. But if you have any questions down below, just post them and I'll try to answer you, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.